want to give credit to Winthrop. They came out here and they played a very good game in both halves. I thought they were the aggressor tonight. They did a lot of things that put us in bonds, pushing the ball. Some plays they made one-on-one. They had a couple guys, have career nights. And, it was just one of those days where, things were clicking for them and they weren't clicking for us. I do want to give credit to our guys. I thought that we gave effort for 40 minutes, whether however it was going, right? It was going good, if it was going bad, those guys played hard, and they asked, and they did what I asked. I have to be better. I have to manufacture a way to get us some better looks offensively. I have to be able to put some guys in some spots without as much congestion, with giving some space to drive and to make moves down there. So I got some work to do on my own as we continue to prepare moving forward.
You missed 40 shots or whatever, and you had, not all of them were bad. There were some bad shots.
Yeah.
But some of them were good shots that just didn't go in. I mean, you as a player, some nights the ball didn't go in the basket. I mean, that's just kind of, were you frustrated at halftime or I mean, what was your mood at halftime, because it didn't go well?
Yeah, I was more. I was frustrated. I know that Alon particularly, he missed probably 4 or 5 shots that he probably makes normally, right? I was more upset with our spacing, with the congestion that we allowed them to do. They muddied the game up when we got to our spots. That's what I was more frustrated with, and I was more frustrated with myself. Came in at halftime and tried to figure out a way, how can we create some space for these guys? How can we get these guys downhill without somebody digging at the ball, without them plugging the gaps? That's what I was more frustrated with. I never get mad at missed shots. I told Alon at halftime on the bench before we started, I said, you got to keep shooting, right? I mean, if you look at our roster, he's the shooter. He has to keep shooting those, and that's why you see he took 23 shots and he took 12 threes. I believe in the kid. He believes in himself, first off. But I believe in the kid, and I know that those shots that he missed tonight, he'll make a decent amount of those moving forward.
I know you're probably not going to make an excuse, but, I mean, you had 7 guys. They played 14 guys. It's hard to play. I was telling Coach Barber that it was kind of reminding me of a COVID game when you didn't have a lot of guys. And,
Right.
I mean, to play Big South basketball against a team like Winthrop,
Yeah.
7 players but it is what it's what you got. I mean,
Yeah.
There's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I can't change that, right? All I can control is how I prepare these guys to go out there with the 7. We've won with 7. We won a Big South game with 7. I don't want that to be an excuse. We just weren't good enough on the offensive end tonight. That snowballed into some defensive mistakes. Offense a lot of times fuels defense, and missing on the offensive end sometimes hurts your defense. And that was the case with us tonight. We don't want to make excuses about the numbers. We just want to put our head down and work, and we feel like we should be able to compete regardless of how many we got.
So many times after a bad loss, teams respond you said they had a good effort tonight, but they respond in a positive way. You got a couple of days before Asheville comes in here. This is a brutal stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, High Point, Winthrop,
Asheville,
they're the top 3 teams.
Yeah, and
then Radford, yeah. But how do you feel going into Saturday with knowing the guys that you have being ready to play and kind of flushing this after tonight? It's over.
I'll be honest with you, I feel good. The reason why I feel good is because I know that that those guys are bought in. I know that I'm going to go home tonight and start working. I know I'm going to wake up tomorrow and start working. I know that what I asked of them to do, they're going to do it to their best of their abilities. Are the shots going to fall? That I don't know. But I do know that we're going to come out on Saturday fully locked in for one goal, and that's to win a basketball game. And I'm confident of that every time we walk out there.
I know this is off the beaten path, but I was asking you about the alumni thing. You're an alumni.
Right.
You're going to be some former teammates, maybe show up some former players.
Yeah.
Are you kind of excited about that you're coaching this team and they played here? I mean, have you even thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about that as of recent since you spoke on that, but that kind of brings me back to when this situation started from the jump. how many of those guys reached out? How many of those guys that we haven't seen in this gym come back to this gym? How many of those guys, we send out a newsletter every week. How many of those guys respond like, hey, I appreciate being in the loop? That's, you asking that question brings that back of, those guys feel involved now. Those guys are following. Those guys are reaching out after games. Those guys are going to UNC game or whatever game that they can get to, they're going to that. So just trying to bring back that feeling of family, that feeling of this is their program too. Me, those guys that played here, through those 4 years, those guys that played here before that set the path for me to come in and do what I did. The Jamarco Warrens, the Kelvin Martins, those guys that set the pathway for the success that we had in those 4 years. Those guys are very important to this program, and for a while they haven't. They probably haven't felt it as such. So we're trying to reignite that. Like, hey, you guys are important. You guys are the reason why we have some of the things that we have now. Because I know what it was like when I first got here. It's a lot different as far as what these kids have and the opportunities that they get. So I know it was different for the guys that came before me. So I'm excited just to see some of those guys, conversate with them, be able to chop it up. But yeah, it's what it's about. It's about the guys that play here now. It's the guys that help build this up, players and coaches.
Anything special planned that afternoon? I know y'all play till 5:30. So
Yeah.
You got a chance to.
Yeah.
You get a chance to speak with them.
Yeah, I want to have those guys. Like I said, we have like 7 or 8 guys committed. We want them to come to shoot around, come meet the team. Watch a shoot around. Kind of get an insight on game plan and what we're looking to do. In between the women's and the men's game, we're gonna have a little meal for those guys before our game, and have the men and women alumni in there and kind of just be able to conversate. Catch up on people that you haven't seen, if you know, and meet some alumni that you probably didn't know, and then they'll obviously be able to come out to the game and get recognized at halftime. So just trying to feel that with what we can do and what we can provide, how do we make those guys feel as special as they can?
Okay, that's it. That's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate you.